What was your name? Preston. Come on. Today we're gonna start coverage of chapter 3. I thought it was chapter 4, but it is 3. I don't remember the exact title, but financial ratios and analysis. I plan to spend 3 lectures on this. Today, Wednesday, and next Monday is Labor Day, so we don't have class. And next Wednesday. That drop period ends today. So on Wednesday, you guys can tell me if you decide who's going to be in your group. Otherwise, I'm going to assign you to groups. As of now, we have 18 people, so it'll be 6 groups of 3. And we'll do the first homework assignment after we've covered chapter 3. All right. Let's start with financial ratios. These are basically, yes. Uh, I decided not to use Canvas. I hate the damn thing. I'm gonna send you guys a shared Google folder, so everything is gonna be there. It's not that I don't want to learn a new thing. I don't think it's has any advantages over Blackboard. Either way, my Google folder is always reliable. It's always there. Google never goes down. Financial ratios are, as the name suggests, ratios of 2 or more items or related items from financial statements. Things like income statements, balance sheets, very rarely from statement of cash flows, but they kind of each have a logic behind it. I mean, we can create hundreds, thousands of ratios. Just because we can doesn't mean we should. Each ratio is about storytelling. About the firm using ratios of items from financial statements. Just like any story, uh, stories that you tell using financial ratios have specific audiences that you're targeting. I mean, for example, I'm a big fan of sci-fi stuff, post-apocalyptic stories, alternative histories. Documentaries don't tell me much. Some people are into what is it called? Reality TV. Technically, they're not even reality TV, but if you're into Housewives of New Jersey, all the power to you, or Orange County, whatever. Me, I'm a Star Trek guy. I can tolerate Star Wars, uh, but I do like a lot of uh, post-apocalyptic stuff. Falling Skies. I know you guys remember that. It's actually available on Prime right now. The 100. These days, I haven't looked at the season 2 yet. The Last of Us. You should look at that. I'm I'm a big fan of Pedro Pascal anyway, but he's really great in that show. So we have different stakeholders in the company that are the audiences. These could be shareholders, these could be regulators, creditors, short-term creditors, long-term creditors, potential investors. For each of them, we have different stories. We typically divide these stories into some groups. First, we're going to look at common sized financial statements. We're going to look at short, long-term solvency ratios, asset efficiency ratios, also known as turnover ratios, um, profitability, such as profit margin, return on investment, return on equity, return on assets, and that kind of stuff. Price multiples, things like price earnings ratio, book to market ratio, and some other stuff. These are more valuation ratios. And growth ratios as well, or growth rates in general. With common sized financial statements, we tell stories about the firm to make comparisons, either the same firm over time or comparing different firms. But we express financial statements in percentages of an item. For example, we would express balance sheet items as percent of total assets. Presumably, your total assets are always greater than zero. And income statement items as percent of total revenue, except for some really startup companies, revenue is always positive. For example, let's think about a ratio, gross margin, which is revenues minus cost of goods sold divided by revenues. It basically says how many cents per dollar of revenue do you get to keep before you get to worry about other costs. You know, that number is important. And I want to know whether or not over time that number is going up or down for the same company. Or if I'm comparing different companies, let's say I want to look at Kroger versus Walmart. Okay? Walmart is obviously a much bigger firm in terms of sales. So by just looking at it, gross profit is very high number. Doesn't necessarily mean Walmart is better than Kroger. Per dollar of revenue, which one is doing better? So common size financial statements, uh, balance sheet as percentage of total assets. We typically abbreviate that to TA. And income statement as percentage of total revenue or sales. We're going to abbreviate that to TR. Let's download some financial statements from its very source, sec.gov. Publicly traded companies have to file their quarterly statements every 3 months. Anytime, if it's a quarter, the last quarter of their fiscal year, we call that statement 10K. Otherwise, they're called 10Q. If you go to sec.gov, Unfortunately, these guys changed some stuff. Uh, I mean, when I taught this class last, you could get these financial statements as an Excel attachment. So any table in those filings were in an Excel file, convenient. Not anymore. I don't know why. Maybe Trump administration fired a lot of people in SEC. They don't have the people to put it into Excel. I have no idea. So we're gonna have to do copy paste essentially, or we can do some other means. Let's go to sec.gov. Any company you may want to see financial statements for? Let's do Walmart and Kroger since I already mentioned them. If you enter the ticker or the firm name, let's go to Walmart. We're gonna look at, I mean, kind of filings are not limited to on financial statements. There are other kinds of filings. Anytime there is something that affects the firm materially, there are different filings. Let's do 10K. I'm going to do 10K since they're annual. We could do 10Q as well. Hit filing. I'm going to do, I don't know what this is. Anyway, hit interactive data. These financial statements are not limited, these filings are not limited to things like income statement, balance sheet, but there are all sorts of notes to these things. When you're especially doing valuation, there are many details in those notes that are important. But for now, we're just going to do financial statements. Let's get the balance sheet. Let's get the consolidated balance sheets. Each 10K gives you 2 years worth of data, that year and the year before. As you may have noticed, Walmart's fiscal year ends at the end of January. Most companies end at the end of December, but certain companies don't follow that. For example, Apple's is always at the end of September. Because as far as they're concerned, the new year starts in the fourth quarter, where they do their most sales and